Hello and welcome back to Let's Play Tyranny with me, Bring It On. Now let's get back to the top of the spire. Shocked and demoralized by your display of power and the ease with which you dispatch their leader, the Scarlet Chorus fighters lose their nerve and scatter in defeat. The survivors carry with them fearful murmurs of the powerful Archon Donald, a being of enormous might who can cast an edict with the same authority as the Overlord. Confusion sets in across the realm. Amid the whispers and misinformation, one fact remains consistent. The Overlord's power has been challenged. You safely assume that such rumors are making their way back to Kyros. The high winds of your edict sweep the air, dashing debris against your spire. Torrential rain falls, hitting hard enough to bruise bare skin. Lightning strikes the ground, endangering anyone out in the open. It isn't long before the storm begins to wane, slowly falling from a gale to a light rainstorm, and after a few days it becomes a simple breeze. Eventually the sky is calm as your edict dissipates, releasing Vendrian's well from its grip. You gather a small council of your closest allies, and plan your next steps from the safety of your spire. No sooner do you get started than Callio, Fatebinder of Tunon, pays a visit bearing an important message. Where there's no music for that segment, was there? I don't think that there was. I keep hearing about this little spire you've been calling your own. Nodding with a smirk, Fatebinder Callio peers over the edge of the tower. Now that you've slaughtered those who would take your lands, I think your claim is as official as it gets. What did I do to earn a visit from a Fatebinder? Do you have an edict to proclaim against me? A fair guess. I was expecting Tunon to hand me a scroll case with Kyros' seal on it. She shakes her head with a chuckle. After what you just pulled, I would have wagered my last ring that Kyros would cast a very selective edict against you. But alas, the Overlord has other plans in mind. No one's entirely sure what to make of you these days, Donald. They all say you spoke an Edict of Storms. Not a proclamation of an Edict of Kyros, but your own Edict of Storms. Your own mystical storm. You're no mere Fatebinder, of that much we can be certain. You've proclaimed and broken the Overlord's edicts perhaps one too many times. If I'd known you could do this when I first met you, I'd maybe have tried in earnest to kill you. I hope for the sake of Tyrannus, the right person has inherited this gift. I don't know what to make of you, Fatebinder. Proclaiming and breaking the Overlord's magic, claiming these awful towers. It should come as no surprise that an edict is within your grasp, but I still find room for surprise. You're powerful in ways that gang bosses and mages aren't. You commanded this place to do your bidding, unleash something incredible on the world. That isn't the work of a Fatebinder. If anything, it's the work of an Archon. Beastwoman will follow Alpha from here to ends of Tyr's lands, and farther still, while Paw prowl deep into cold north, hunting armies of Kyros at Alpha's side. Together, Shadowhunter and Alpha will slaughter whole of Prima's tribe. I don't want to kill my tribe. I don't have any idea how you're able to do this, but it isn't a power that any scholar can wield. This is something else. You're not some ambitious hedge mage who learned it out of a book. You're more like an Archon, where it just comes naturally. She shakes her head with a grin. I always knew you'd be a delightful bit of trouble, but I didn't think you had a touch of the Overlord's power in you. Why didn't you tell me? Please, it seems a bit presumptuous to claim the Overlord's power. I still don't fully understand this power just yet. She chuckles, shaking her head at you with a grin. For a moment, I was envious of this power of yours. Then I realized, I'm not the one with threat to the Overlord painted on my forehead. I come bearing orders direct from the Overlord. Callio clears her throat, her voice becoming somber and severe. Kyros has decreed two things. First, the Overlord has demanded that only one Archon is fit to rule the Tiers. To that end, the Archons are to settle through death or dominance, who is the one Archon fit to inherit the Tiers. Have the Archons been informed of this yet? All save one. Callio flicks her hand forward, and you reach up to catch a small brooch in the style of Kyros' insignia. Kyros has decreed you are the newest Archon. Fatebinder Callio bows with exaggerated flourish. So the other Archons now have orders to control or destroy you, and the other way around. Her face becomes a beaming smile. See, this is why I try to avoid getting Kyros' attention. And what if we don't fight? Why not ignore this order? If you wish to loaf on your hindquarters, have at it. But I doubt the other Archons will ignore this order. Every Archon in the tiers has been given free reign to slay the others. None are protected by Kyros' peace. It is no longer a crime for Ash and Nerat to kill you, or the other way around. Kyros knows, rightly so, that enemies new and old will drive the Archons to mutual destruction. The Overlord need only remove the pretense of peace and watch the ensuing violence. Kyros shrugs with a smile. Would you prefer another do-or-die edict? And what of the court? Have you heard what Tunon and Blooded Mark think of this? As per usual, Tunon has the emotional range of pumice, but Blooded Mark seemed almost giddy. I think the old Shadow is already putting names on his daggers. I was wondering if Blooded Mark would hear this order and promptly stab Tunon. But no. It seemed the Archon of Shadow is happy to serve Tunon. Makes sense. I've never known the old Shadow to crave that kind of power. She clears her throat, her voice growing somber. You'll have to deal with them too, and I fear greatly for how that will turn out. I imagine Tunon is too loyal to bow to you, and Blooded Mark too proud to accept you as his better. She nods quietly for a long moment. There's no way this ends well for some of us. I have a close alliance with Graven Ash. This order will complicate things, to say the least. Keep in mind, the order is that all must submit to one Archon or die. So you and Ash won't necessarily have to come to blows, but I'm not sure how you'll convince him to bow to you. I think I'm more troubled by this sudden promotion to Archon, because I think we were specifically promoted to Archon so that we were thrown into this conflict, which I don't know how to read that. But yeah, I think I'm more troubled by the sudden promotion to Archon. By definition, an Archon is someone who generates magic from themselves and doesn't channel the powers of others. Since I assume you cast that edict without reading the prepared words of Kyros, otherwise why the fuss? Archon isn't fully incorrect for what you are. But I would agree, your power is far beyond the mastery of shadows or ice, or talking to trees or whatever other powers Archons have shown throughout the ages. Consider, for a second, the greater mystery is not why you're being considered an Archon, it's why you're being allowed a chance to live. Kyros shrugs. All I know is that the Overlord rarely improvises. So I'm to be the Archon of Edicts? Not exactly, just Archon for now. A bit unorthodox, but that's all the information I received. Rogolas insisted we call you the Archon of the Tears, at least in any case where we might be overheard, since Archon of Edicts could sound like a denigration of the Overlord. You realize this presents a problem for me, right? My hand just writes Fatebinder Donald out of habit. The effort it'll take to retrain myself to write Archon. I'm not sure I have the years left in me. Yeah, but I didn't ask to be an Archon. And I didn't ask to be a Fatebinder. Kyros shrugs, pointing at herself. But I make it look easy. I don't think anybody asks to be an Archon. If anything, those who try to wear the title without Kyros' blessing rarely survive to be remembered. That is true. I don't think Kyros decides who has the power to be an Archon, but Kyros is certainly selective of who gets the title. My teacher, Occulted Jade, Archon of Tides, never bowed to Kyros. Her power was her own. She claimed the title of Archon because, well, when she was younger, the Overlord was just a distant tale, and so wearing the title didn't arouse conflict. I don't think the Overlord gives anyone power in any direct sense. If anything, I bet Kyros would rather all of us were mewling idiots devoid of magic. Would be easier to control that way. But Kyros can give and take titles, and titles change how people see you, how they view your authority, or how big a threat they perceive you to be. And considering your promotion came along with an order for the Archons to all kill each other, it sure seems like this was part promotion, part test. If the other Archons kill you, Kyros needn't worry about whatever you're becoming. And if you're becoming something useful, Kyros seems happy to use you to kill the other Archons. Why do you think would Kyros want us Archons to fight? Because Ash and Nerat work together like water and oil, and so letting them rule half the tiers is an exercise in bad planning. Because there's no land left to conquer after the tiers, and Kyros needs fewer generals. Kyros shrugs with a ruddy-faced smile. Tunon's not here, so I don't mind pointing out that Kyros isn't exactly a loving ruler, and the Archons are disposable pawns, not beloved subjects. The land has been conquered. Why not dispose of the conquerors? Alright, so earlier in this series I mentioned that there's a lot of parallels with Warhammer 40,000. Even more so now. So like after the Unification Wars, when the Emperor no longer needed the Thunder Warriors, he had the Space Marines take care of them. So he's now getting rid of his conquering tools. The Unification Wars are now over, and he no longer needs his old assets. They're too unpredictable, too uncontrollable, too unstable, just like the Thunder Warriors. Okay. It's almost like ripped straight out of a 40k book. I further speculate that Kyros hates all of the Archons equally, and so instead of nominating all but one for destruction, the Overlord is willing to let the strongest earn the right to exist. Well, thank you for delivering the message. That will be all. First step is deciding you won't bow to one of the other Archons. Calio offers a smug nod. I wish you the best of luck in your upcoming struggle. Know that when you come for Blood and Mark and Tunon, I and the other Fate Binders won't interfere. A question me and the other Binders have been asking. Can you do this again? Nunaval believes in you. Another, who shall remain nameless, takes the more cynical stance that the Overlord has a hand so far up your butt she can puppet your mouth, and you couldn't cast a second edict if you tried. She sizes you up, head to toe. Me, I think you have it in you. At least I like the idea of proclaiming an edict of yours someday. You have something in mind for the voice of Nerat. I'll issue an edict upon cacophony in the Stone Sea. Oh, the tears are about to get a lot more interesting with that attitude. Calio nods with a satisfied grin, rubbing her belly. I can taste their lamentations already. With a nod, Calio begins to make her way to the exit. When you rule Taradas, look me up. If you're successful, I know I'll be in need of a new Archon to serve. I know I'm mostly sober, but just so we're clear, you did just issue an edict, right? Lancery taps his quill to his tongue, unsure of what's next to write. First you cast an edict, in this full-on war of Archons. This whole chapter of the Chronicle is... it's reading like fiction. So Kyros has ordered other Archons to fight it out, until only the strongest remain. I think we can now safely say that the Scarlet Course philosophy has been vindicated. A rumbling mutter stirs from under Barrick's helmet, devoid of any cogent words. Alpha birthed own words of power like humans, a prima called Kyros. Is better mystic than Broodmother to kill in shadows, or kills in shadow, than Stowstalker's 100 blood, than Beastwoman Archon slaughtered by Mark of Shadows. She snorts and grins savagely. Kills in Shadow knew Alpha was the most powerful human in whole of Tearslands. A curved claw taps the side of her snout. Knows when it's not wrong. One last thing. Hesitating before she leaves, Calio taps the parchment she's been holding to her forehead with a self-depreciating scoff. All this talk of you being the second coming of the Overlord, and I almost forgot my duties. This is a court summons from Blood and Mark, Tunon's assassin. I suggest you read it carefully, as a part of your preparations. Your survival may depend on it. Good luck, Archon. Hoo boy. Well. Archon. We must speak before this goes further than it already has. He was really quick to adapt that. Or adopt that. I know you've got a thing or two on your plate, but if you could take some time for me, a little bird has brought us some interesting news. I hate to have to go stabbing people without you. A Fatebinder. Archon. The great general has pulled his troops back to Iron Hearth. She grabs her knuckles into her palm. Soon we make our final push into the Stone Sea, and the heart of the Scarlet Course's power. The voice of Nerat is weak, and the path to cacophony is clear. She adopts a more cautious tone. The Archon is also aware of what happened in Vendrian's Well. I'm sure he wants to discuss the matter in person. I'll consider the request. I wouldn't spend too long considering. You've demonstrated incredible power, and this is a time for action. I'll send Ash a bird so he knows to expect you later, if not right away. Take care how you treat with Grieve and Ash. You don't mere Fatebinder any longer. You'll meet with him as Archon to Archon, and such things are more complicated. Good luck. Well, yeah, this just made things a lot more interesting. How are we gonna... Well, let's talk to our companions first thing.
Alpha, to kills in shadows smells good. Like mountain dew. Makes beast woman blood stir. Run hot hot. Makes beast woman want to hunt, bite, rot. Fate binder wants beast woman?
Alright, nothing new there. Let's speak to Siren. Without looking up at you, Siren releases a long, dejected sigh. Is something bothering you, Siren? You seem sad.
No. Everything's fine, Archon. But I appreciate you asking.
She wipes at her nose, glancing away.
I've made some progress on that ancient musical score. I'm almost completely sure it's the same music I hear in that crystal we found.
You've made a breakthrough. Seems like that would be a good thing.
It's simply not what I was hoping for, I suppose. No matter.
She shakes her head.
This music, I think it describes something fundamental. About magic, I mean. Or at least about the magic of the old walls.
She chews on her lower lip. I mean, that sounds like a pretty incredible thing to know about.
I guess. I mean, sure, it's something nobody else knows yet. Except maybe Kyros. Maybe not. I'm certain that weaving this song into my own music will strengthen it. Or at least let more of my power slip through this stupid hat.
Yeah, so there was more voice acting here, I think. I just hit continue because the text was over. But I think she was saying maybe not even Kyros after that.
Who knows? Maybe the old walls will hear my songs, and then I'll be able to awaken spires too, or sing edicts, or both.
Yeah, your voice will shake the tears.
The tears? Don't underestimate me. I'll shake this whole ugly world.
Yeah, we even have another Archon on our side. So in a way we're like Tunon, because Tunon has Blood and Mark. We have Siren. Though her power is a little subjugated right now because of her helmet.
But truly, thank you for all of this. I'm indebted to you. I'll add my power to your cause, I promise.
In fact, I'd like to bring her with us to Tunon's court. Having an Archon with me might, back up my power a little bit. Who would I leave behind, though? I guess I'll leave Verse behind. Bring Siren, Barrick, and Lantry. Because we won't be lacking for damage as long as I'm in the party, because I hit like a truck.
Hail, mighty Archon.
Ebb salutes you with a nod, patting her staff to the ground as she stands at attention.
Your newfound power runs in the face of what I thought I knew. All my life, I've been told Kyros alone can issue an edict. And yet, here you are, proclaiming mastery of the lands just like the Overlord.
Well, it's fortunate, then, that you're sworn to me.
Yes, fortunate indeed. I will endeavor to be worthy of the honor. Your newfound power runs in the face of what I thought I knew. All my life, I've been told Kyros alone can issue an edict. And yet, here you are, proclaiming mastery of the lands just like the Overlord.
Perhaps there are others besides me and the Overlord.
I should certainly hope not. Tyrantus isn't large enough for Kyros, and it's certainly going to get very interesting if the two of you start waving your edicts to and fro.
How does everybody assume that I'm going to start fighting Kyros? I mean, if Kyros feels threatened, of course, he'll probably try to take care of me. So I might be forced to defend myself. Huh.
I would have felt if someone else were proclaiming edicts. I knew when this one activated the spire. From what I know of Kyros, the Fatebinder is definitely a wrinkle in some carefully laid plans.
If anyone has cast an edict other than Kyros in the last 431 years, I'm certain we would know. There would have been witnesses and evidence that outran Kyros' march west. The sages would have heard of it.
Your newfound power runs in the face of what I thought I knew. All my life, I've been told Kyros alone can issue an edict. And yet, here you are, proclaiming mastery of the lands just like the Overlord.
I can replicate his powers, but I'm not just like the Overlord.
You mean her powers?
I mean hers.
You say that now. Let's see if you still feel this way when the reality sinks in, and your mastery of this newfound power solidifies. The world now bows to your mere utterance. Each day you will grow stronger, while the world becomes weaker in comparison. Put another way, if I could do what you do, the world would be at the mercy of my depravity. Cursing the name of Ebb, Archon of fecund fluids. Let's hope your moral sextant isn't as crooked as my own. Your newfound power runs in the face of what I thought I knew.
Okay, enough about me for the moment.
What is it you need?
Not gonna listen to that again.
Away.
Whoops. Really? Shouldn't have anything new to say?
Fate binder.
Alright. Let's talk to Verse next. Hey Binder, let me get something off my chest. Verse nods to grab your attention. I burn inside. When I dance, it's like I'm trying to let out the fire, to quench it in blood. Instead, I just end up stoking the flames. Crap. Did any of that make sense? She smooths down her feathers and sighs. I think I follow. I've always had such a strong connection to my Furies. That bond made me feel, I don't know exactly, like part of something. Now it feels like they're in me. They rise up when I dance, each time a little more restless. When we were going after Crocus and Orisa, I could almost hear them, like they were whispering to me, tugging from somewhere deep. And even I can't deny that all this sounds a lot like, you know, him. She looks off into the distance. Eldian. Yeah, say it, Verse. The voice of Nerat. You happy now? She scowls. The thought alone that I could be anything like the voice of Nerat makes me want to flay myself. She inhales deeply, chest rising, then lets it out through her teeth in a low, prolonged hiss. Yeah, the voice of Nerat is a parasite. You're a predator. Now he's a parasite, sure, but that wasn't always true. Maybe it starts with the killing, but eventually you've got others doing the killing for you. That's how Archons are made, right? And overlords. Yeah, family always leaves its mark. Mine was a little better. Are you suggesting that Nerat and I are family? Like he's my dad? She scrunches her nose. A creepy uncle, at least. As if it wasn't disgusting enough when he asked me to polish his scepter. If you don't want to turn into him, don't be like him. What exactly are you suggesting? The right corner of her lip twists. Yeah, maybe don't eat people. No promises. The beastmen have opened my eyes to a new and exciting diet. One more thing before I call it a day, Fatebinder. What is it? After we spoke to Essa, I slipped a scout some rings to keep an eye on the place, and send word if anything out of the ordinary happened. She cracks her knuckles beneath her calloused palms. Apparently there have been some strangers lurking about. I'd like to head back to River's Break and see if we can't grab one. Maybe dig a little knowledge out of him. But not, you know, in a directly out of the head kind of way. She frowned sheepishly. We'll check it out if we get the chance. I'm not saying it's the most important thing facing us. Just, you know, if we find the time. I've got an odd feeling about it, is all. Let's get moving. The war's not over yet. She nods. Are you trying to make everyone mad, or do you just do this for fun? I'm not judging either way, I'm just curious. Casting an edict on Vendrian's will is a good way to shine a beacon on yourself, or paint a target. Verse crosses her arms and smiles. I saved your skin, didn't I? Sure did, for now. Like I said, I'm not trying to prod you or suggest you made the wrong call. As someone who likes to stay discreet until she has the opening to strike a killing blow, I find your little public gesture of dominance, well, quaint. Charming. In a dumb way.
At your service, Fatebinder.
I'm sorry, I'm an Archon now.
What do you need?
Let's speak to, Barrick.
I have come to regard knowledge as a kind of curse, and I better understand the Overlord's injunctions against too much of it. In knowing why my armor clings to me, I think I began feeling it grow into me. Has it buried itself deeper within me? Or do I imagine this?
He sighs.
Kyros has ordered that the Archons determine a ruler of the tiers from among themselves. This is the time to go to Archon Ash, submit to him, and beg clemency.
I now stand an equal among the Archons. Perhaps Graven Ash will be willing to release you into my service, and from his protection.
You make a well-reasoned argument. If the General is willing to release me to you, then perhaps I could be free of this armor. Serve both of you better for it. I shall follow your lead, Archon. For now.
Yeah, that's gonna be interesting. I don't know how Barrick's gonna handle this conflict. I can scarcely believe it. You proclaimed an edict. You wielded the power of the Overlord. For a moment, perhaps, but it was enough to turn the tide of battle in our favor. That simply doesn't happen. The Overlord's magic is as unknowable as anything on Tyranny, as mysterious and, well, I was about to say it, as unapproachable as the Spires. But you have cleanly dispelled that notion. Yeah, what do you suggest I do next? Hold fast to your loyalties in the Overlord's hierarchy. There's always the chance that Kyros will leave you alone if your fealty is true, but I offer no guarantees. This is what I would do anyway. You must follow your own path. Yeah, I'm the Overlord's faithful servant. No doubt this power has been bestowed upon me for my loyalty. You devoted your life to studying the laws of Kyros and upholding them. I should hope this is a gift from Kyros. For if the Overlord did not choose you to have this power, it may be your undoing. Well, that's enough for now. Let's be off. Of course, Fatebinder. Barrick bows stiffly.
My Lord Binder, you have something which requires my attention?
Barrick salutes as he turns to greet you.
What can I do for you?
Alright, and Lantry. Finishing the last pen strokes of a note running about his left arm, Lantry looks up at you with a nod.
Not to steal your glorious day in the sun, but I must say, now all my notes on you are suddenly worth 10 times their weight in iron. My journals will melt the linens off the ladies, I tell you. What's that you say? Buxom, nubile lasses with an interest in old men who know history. You need a definitive tractatus on the trials and tribulations of the Archon of the Tears? Ha! Well, you're in luck. I think one can safely conclude that you have the Overlord's attention, and that of the Tears. Soon, all of Tyranny. You realize, I trust, I hope, that nobody other than Kyros has ever cast an edict until you.
My newfound powers don't change the fact that I am loyal to Kyros, that I'm likely to be perceived as a threat all the same.
If that's true, then the Overlord would be wise to treat you well, for your powers would make you an enforcer second to none. But I imagine Kyros became Kyros by taking few chances with the competition. I could see the Overlord playing it safe and disposing of you. At the same time, if you really were a meaningful threat, you'd have already been the victim of an edict, or bled in Mark's daggers. So this has me rather curious. Just what does the Overlord wish to do with you?
Happen to know when Kyros first cast an edict?
Good question. In parts north, it's commonly held that Kyros' Edict of Dust was the first, but it was cast in the year 11. It was just the first edict to ripple across the whole of Tyranny. If you lived somewhere that used to have antelope, you probably think that's the first edict of the Overlord. But here, the answer is given to us by the Overlord's own sense of posterity. Year 0 of Kyros' calendar is said to correspond to the day Kyros went from warlord to wearer of many crowns, a victory won when the first Edict of Storms shocked both the Cloud Barons and the realm of Medrev to capitulate.
Antelope. Is that an animal?
Yes, or it was at least, until they were all wiped out by the Edict of Dust. Or that's as best we've pieced it together from the records. From what we've gathered from their skeletons, they were some sort of mute beast man that ran on 4 legs.
I'm sorry, I'm seeing more parallels between 40k and Tyranny again. Because in 40k, a lot of our history is a little warped because of how long it's been since a lot of things transpired. Like they believe Shakespeare only had 3 plays that he had written, and that Malkador the Sigillite has all 3 of them in his possession. And like little things like that, like history's been warped, just like the antelope here.
Antelope are not like beast women.
She counters, flexing her claws once, twice, 3 times in annoyance.
Antelope have hooves for fleeing. Beast women have claws for killing. Antelope don't eat meat, are spooked easily, are large but helpless, lumber but lack reason, are prey. Silverback tribe hunted antelope extinct.
She sniffs and flicks the sage in a pointed stare.
Old ink mystic tells many strange, stupid tales. Thinks to know everything.
I suppose I'm more of an expert in living things, like birds, and can't quite confirm or deny what you're saying, but just forget I said anything.
We'll find out soon enough. We should get going.
Indeed. Once again, I find myself wishing the days and nights would slow down just a hair. Never enough hours to journal these dense days. Let us be on our way. Greetings, Archon. How may I assist?
See, his updated, but Verses and Barracks did not.
Good day, Fatebinder. It's always nice to see you. What do you need?
Hers didn't either.
I trust
and
all is well, my glorious Archon. I'm honored you wish to speak.
Ebb bows deeply, smiling as she rises. So yeah, Ebb and Lantry's updated, but Siren's Verses and Barracks did not.
What is it you need?
Okay, let's read the missive from Blood and Mark. And also look at this new ability we got with Verse. Alright, Fury, no, not Verse, Siren. Oh, I didn't unlock it, never mind. Alright, well, let's read this missive. What else do I have here? Oh, Songbird's Encore. Alright, this is what we unlocked. Resounding Crescendo. Oh, so her headdress became an artifact. So Siren's headdress bolstered by her power and understanding of teachings left to her by the Archon of Stone. So Siren performs an ancient music learned from the Old Walls in the passage of the Archon of Stone. Her voice rolls over the battlefield in waves, breaking the bones and scrambling the wits of her enemies. The potency of these effects scale with Resounding Crescendo's renown. So once per rest, damage versus magic, stunned, and marked for 9.7 seconds. Well, that seems pretty good. So we finished all of our projects. I'll only ask once. Kid, I take it you're aware of the Overlord's latest decree. If not, let me give it to you straight. Now's a bad time to be an Archon in the tiers. Since most likely I'll be the one to cut you down, I thought I'd explain first. It's not my choice. But if it was, I'd still choose to kill you. See you soon. Blood and Mark, Archon of Shadows and Court Blade. Say something cordial. My dearest Mark, I must sincerely thank you for the forward warning. Please know that I have, indeed, taken your words to heart, and as such, return the following in reply. Certainly, I would not expect you to follow me without first testing my mettle. If we must slay each other, so be it. I respect your prowess, and will stand my ground if a duel is what you desire, but I would ask that you consider instead pledging your blade to me, rather than aiming it for my throat. Does Kyros' decree insist that we kill each other, or merely that one should best the other? Warm regards, Donald. Oh, that takes an hour, cool. Alright, before we do anything else, let us go around and collect some stuff. Then we'll call it an episode after that. Get our next projects started. So I mentioned something about casting an edict on Cacophony. I assume I can do that before we head there. And we still don't have this darn thing. Alright, so I guess we'll make Sentinel. We found this is the first schematic I think we found, right? Like we found the hilt very early on. Never mind, we don't have enough materials. I guess we'll do Headhunter instead. I'm not going to use either one, so it doesn't really matter. I'm just doing it because we have it. So I wonder what to do first. Or regardless, off camera, I'm going to update all of Siren's spells, because I'm going to bring her with us for a lot of our delegation, a lot of our travels. So I'm going to bring her to the Voice of Nerat, I'm going to bring her to Court, and probably to Graven Ash. I'll swap out Barrack for Verse when we go see the Voices. Research Edicts. Conduct a research to gain more insight into Kyros' edicts. Alright, then to Dawning Spire. I don't think... This is the training ground, right? Do I get hide from the training ground? I think so. I think the training ground's the one that gives us hide. Yeah, from Varys. Alright, then to the Aurora Spire to get some potions. Back to Vendrian's Well, then we'll call it an episode. And then I'll deal with Siren's magic off camera and decide what I'm going to do next. Kid, if I haven't said it before, I'll say it now. I'm going to enjoy killing you. Can't wait for the execution order. I'll be anticipating your arrival at the court. Don't snuff the lights. Blood and Mark, Archon of Shadows and Court Blade. Huh. Wonder how joking he's being. Maybe I'm misinterpreting it, but it sounds like he's joking with me. Waking Death, Old Water, Azure Bell, Sable Root, Creeping Dusk, and Alchemy Supplies.
Will do.
I still haven't explored the actual alchemy station at the infirmary. That's fine. I'm not super worried about it. Alright, let me grab Siren real fast.
Good day, Fatebinder. What do you need? Well then.
Goodbye to you too.
Whoops,
I'll
wrong
tack
one.
homeward. See you there.
There we go.
Yes.
She has a few level ups to take care of. Let's do that real fast, and then I'll call it an episode. So for her, I think this would be the best. Well, she already has 19. So, going forward, what to do? There we go. That works. And then here, I guess we'll just go ahead and grab... Well, I don't really care about that. 9 points. Holy crap. Yes, I guess Aria of Resonance. Siren's voice fractures the armor of her foes. Enemies in the area cannot defend against Siren's voice and have their armor sundered for a short time. Quick Breath. Siren automatically gains breath at the start of combat. A Resonant Field. Siren maintains a damage prevention field around herself. Any damage, even if prevented by Resonant Field, will briefly stop this field from regenerating. So the update to that, shielded for 50 damage until damaged. And then shielded for 80 damage until damaged. And a Quick Breath, +2 starting breaths. Art of Confusion. Siren bombards her enemies with a cacophony of tormenting notes. Those that fail to resist her power are confused. Aria of Storms. Siren's aria generates lightning that strikes all foes near her and then chains to distant enemies. Those struck are knocked prone and dazed. Then Focus Song. Siren learns to precisely channel her voice towards nearby enemies, gaining an accuracy bonus to her offensive songs. And that works for me. Alright, so off camera I'll upgrade her, or just update all of her magic, because I think she's lacking across the board, right? Yeah. So I'll take care of that, and then we'll probably go to the court first.
On it.
I feel like that'd be my best course of action. And then probably go see Graven Ash and then deal with the voices. That's probably going to be the order that I do it in. I don't know, we'll see. Either way, thanks for watching. I hope to see you guys in the next one.